All right, guys. Today we are gonna be reacting to Germany gets $100 billion in military upgrade, guys. Let's jump in.
In Berlin, after years of negligence and underfinancing, German lawmakers have pledged to raise defense spending above 2% of the GDP, along with a plan to inject at least 100 billion euros into a special fund for the Bundeswehr. That's a lot of money, and it comes atop of the annual defense budget of 50 billion euros. Chancellor Olaf Scholz presented the plan in February in response to the war in Ukraine. Now, 3 months later, the government and the main opposition party have come together to amend the constitution and draft a program on how to raise and spend the money. German lawmakers say it will go towards major equipment purchases to strengthen the country's combat readiness. Germany is getting new fighter jets, aerial drones, armored vehicles, submarines, tanks, etc. But is it enough to make up for years of inadequate spending?
Good question.
Well, that may not even matter. Some ambitions are so admirable, it's glorious even to fail.
All right.
Today's video is sponsored with number 3. This dungeon gives you mastery, but the war in Ukraine has convinced German officials to rebuild the military. The turning point occurred when Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht revealed that the country had not a single combat-ready division.
Damn, bro, that's
some 10,000 to 50.
That's crazy, man. I don't even believe that's true. Well, that's crazy, man. While Germany does not have a single combat-ready army division at the moment. Wow. I don't think that's true, man. I don't think... you guys have to tell me whether or not that's true, because that sounds...
15,000 troops to defend German territory.
That sounds insane.
Only 150 of the army's 350 Puma infantry fighting vehicles are actually operational, and only 9 of its 51 Tiger attack helicopters can fly. Less than 30% of the German naval ships are seaworthy, and many of Germany's fighter aircraft are unfit to fly.
Wow.
A parliamentary report on the military dating to 2021 found that 11 of 71 major weapon systems had an operational readiness rate of 50%.
Damn.
A good chunk of German weaponry is simply not functional. Even basic equipment is lacking. Some German units use analog radio systems that are not encrypted, while others are short on ammunition and combat-ready equipment.
Wow.
Decades of neglect will do that to an army. Scholz's 100 billion euros upgrade looks to...
So what's the reason? So really, post-World War II, Germany said, you know what? We shouldn't just build our military. Yeah, whatever. Well, we shouldn't. Really, man. After World War II? Wow, man. Not even with the... Well, with the Cold War, they were trying a little bit, but... Wow, it seemed like... No.
Make things right. It is the biggest increase in Germany's defense spending since the 1990s. And lawmakers in Berlin have promised to use the special fund to transform the Bundeswehr into a powerful, cutting-edge force. But 100 billion euros is a lot of money, even for a wealthy nation as Germany. So, how exactly will the money be spent? What are Germany's defense priorities? Well, as of yet, there is no official spending plan for the special fund. But the Germans do have a long wishing list for almost a decade, which they haven't been able to afford. So, the details can be filled in based on those previously assessed needs. With that in mind, the bulk of the special fund, 41 billion euros to be precise, will go to the Air Force. Officials in Berlin have long wanted to replace their aging fleets of helicopters and jet fighters. Some of the hardware, its heavy lift helicopters for instance, have been in use for over 50 years and are prone to breakdowns. Now,
so basically they're doubling the new expenditure, right? They're doubling, right? They're seeing like what happened in Ukraine, put them in a position. Okay, we need to double think this stuff.
Is as good a time as any to replace those. The German Air Force wants to acquire 35 Lockheed Martin F-35 jet fighters, 60 Boeing Chinook CH-47 helicopters, and 15 Eurofighter Typhoon jets. These acquisitions will likely take shape with the latest improved versions in mind. A considerable amount of money will also go to researching and developing new weapons, including the Twister system designed to improve defenses against supersonic weapons, and the Combat Cloud system meant to strengthen cybersecurity. An unspecified amount will also be allotted to multilateral defense projects. Atop the list is the Future Combat Air Systems program, which looks to develop a 6th-generation fighter jet that by 2040 will replace France's Rafales, Germany's Typhoons, and Spain's F-18 Hornets. There are also plans to develop new submarine technology in cooperation with Norway, new frigate and landing platforms in partnership with the Netherlands, and a new artillery and munitions system in collaboration with Britain. German officials also want to spend 19 billion euros on the Navy. There are plans to procure Type 212 submarines and new corvettes and frigates. But warships can get really expensive, especially with German defense.
But some of you guys were saying that warships or airships are not practical. I don't think so. I don't think so. Germany is located in water. Germany has access to water. You don't need to colonize anybody. You need it. You need to transport. You need that kind of. No, not every country has that advantage. Let's put it that way. Especially in Europe, not everybody. Like Austria and what's the other one? Swedish. I forgot a lot of these countries, they don't have that opportunity to build airships. And most importantly, you guys need it, man. You guys need it.
Contractors. The allotted budget sounds substantial, but it will only go so far in the Navy. Meanwhile, the ground forces are set to receive nearly 17 billion euros. A good portion of it will beef up the Army's assets with Marder infantry fighting vehicles and Fuchs armored personnel carriers. German officials are also eyeing a successor to the Leopard 2 battle tank, which is supposed to be developed together with France. Berlin will likely go big on heavy armaments like tanks, but it will not be the main focus. The remaining 23 billion euros of the special fund is expected to refill ammunition depots and upgrade cyber warfare technologies across all military branches. Think of night vision goggles, modern radio equipment, backpacks, uniforms, etc. The Bundeswehr is notably short on supplies of all types, and the designated budget will help alleviate those problems. If all goes to plan, German officials hope to expand the number of military personnel to 200 and 300,000, which is 20,000 more than there are today. By and large, these are...
that's not a lot. I'm sorry, that's not a lot. Minimum, you at least need a 500,000. Minimum. I don't know where you're gonna pull them out, but you need at least 500,000. At least. Listen, the reason I personally, because I do react to a lot of Russian stuff as well on one of my other channels. The reason I think some of these countries, they're bold to do some of these moves is because they see some of the militaries, especially Germany. Germany has something very good in their favor. Their technology is amazing, but you guys are not using it like you should, right? You need, and you don't have to build a huge military empire kind of thing. You need to build enough where people will have to think it twice to invade you, you know. But this is not enough, man. That's not enough. Let me know what you guys think.
The items and requirements that Germany has aimed to have but hasn't been able to finance.
Yep.
Now, with the special fund in place, it can make it happen. Yet Germany's military upgrade is not without controversy. As impressive as 100 billion euros sounds, it might not be enough for Germany to compensate for years of inadequate spending. Scholz's defense plan is just an initial down payment. According to an economics research organization in Munich, Germany must commit another 25 billion euros a year to meet its NATO quota on the long-term basis.
Damn.
And this is where things get interesting. Aside from the one-time 100 billion euros special fund, Scholz also promised that defense spending would amount to more than 2% of the GDP, which is the agreed-upon threshold for NATO. If the Scholz government and succeeding coalition governments keep pace with the 2% defense spending, Germany's long-term military needs will eventually be addressed.
There you go.
However, pacifist sentiment is widespread in Germany.
I think that's what it is.
Skeptical of the army's capacity and responsibility.
That's what it is, the pacifist sentiment, right?
Due to its past atrocities. Scholz's plan is therefore dependent on public approval and political negotiation. If the coalition government breaks apart, the 2% defense spending will have to be renegotiated with new terms and new parties involved. For now, though, Scholz's military upgrade is meeting the public's approval. A poll by Der Spiegel found that 78% of Germans support allocating more money to the armed forces, but whether this sentiment will remain in place is unknown. Even so, money alone will not fix everything. Besides political will, Germany has a dysfunctional procurement system, one that is agonizingly slow. Ordering replacement equipment takes years, including for ships, tanks, but also for modest items like body armor, radios, and uniforms. It took the Germans about a decade just to deliver new battle helmets for its ground forces. Part of the reason is that German laws permit the losing bidder for a defense contract to challenge the decision in court. Oftentimes that can stall delivery.
That's gonna, oh my god, that's gonna take forever, man. Bureaucracy might be a big problem.
Years, and German contractors seem to enjoy suing one another. For instance, an order of 120,000 assault rifles manufactured by Heckler & Koch has been mired in a legal battle and still has not gone through. That deal is 7 years behind schedule and still has no end in sight. Still more, the German military budget is renegotiated every fiscal year. Money that has not been spent by the end of the year is essentially withdrawn. So, when a legal dispute stalls for years, the allotted money is essentially lost. As a result, legal disputes result in delays, but also in underfinancing. With the way the bureaucracy is set up, it is easier for Germans to supply weaponry to a client on the other side of the world than it is to supply the Bundeswehr. So while Berlin...
That's so sad, man. And I understand, you need some bureaucracy. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not so libertarian as a lot of guys are, right? I'm conservative, but I'm not so libertarian. But you need some bureaucracy. I understand. You need some steps to make sure that everything is going well. But to the point where you're just putting everything behind 7 years, man. Nah, man, that's too many years. Too many.
Wish list includes new ships, new helicopters, and more
you guys
tanks.
Need it.
Additional political, judicial, and bureaucratic reform is necessary to speed up the procurement system. And even then, political will needs to be maintained to hold on to that 2% defense spending threshold. The 100 billion euros military upgrade is an excellent first step, but it is a first step nonetheless. National defense is the first duty of the state, but to have proper defense requires commitment in all areas. Germany may not be interested in conflict, but conflict may be interested in Germany.
Yeah, good point.
I've been your host, Shiv.
Yo, good point. That last saying, very good point. Germany might not be interested in conflict, but conflict doesn't care. They might be interested in Germany. I know you guys got it. You guys are smart people. You know what your country needs. You guys have very good technology. Technology is not the problem. Not even personnel is the problem. I think it's more, are you guys willing to move forward and just lock it in, man? You have to lock in. Make sure that your military grows enough. Grow enough where if something happens, you guys are going to be okay. That's what I'm saying. Very, very good video. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next one.